I think there's some part of like, at least with me, that I want people that I hate or that I dislike to see a lot of success eventually and be like, oh
Right.
damn, you know,
You want to show them your ass? Be like, look at that ass.
yeah,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
there's fucking hundos falling out my ass right now. When you feel kind of like an outsider, it's really cool to have your own Cheers bar. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, man.
just people who like you for who you are and want to be a part of, the community that you've created.
That's the key, man.
I think that it may be a fallacy, but I also think that I've never met anybody quite like myself. I do feel weird in my own skin.
You've been listening to my friend Syzygy Tango, and this is the Emotive Podcast. I'm your host, Dan, also known as Orange Sherbet. And it's been good to be back, finally recording again for this podcast. You know, Syzygy Tango, my guest today, he's just a guy he's game for anything. You know, I asked him if he'd want to be on the podcast. He's like, fuck it, let's do it. And then he showed up. We had a great conversation. And I got to know him as a person, which was pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. It's really most of what I expected, and a little bit on the unexpected side. Because Syzygy Tango is the type of guy that marches to the beat of a different drum. So I hope that you'll enjoy the episode. And, you know, if you're new to the podcast, subscribe, rate the podcast if you enjoy. You can find me on social media at Emotive Podcast, and just enjoy the episode. Shit. Well, welcome to the Emotive Podcast. This is the host of the wildly popular internet show, Syzygy Tango.
That's me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Hey, right off the jump, man, I want to know how you choose your alias for like Twitch and other things, because it seems like you just run it through one of those like name generators, but it's almost like a porn star name generator or something. Like, is it like a name that you've had forever, or is there just a random name you decided to have for Twitch? Or
it was a spur of the moment thing. I was actually playing a lot of League of Legends before I started streaming, and I was trying to get my friend into it, who's just notorious for putting things aside as like, no, I don't know this, I'm not familiar with this, so I'm not going to do it. And so I made a Gmail, and I just kind of threw together Syzygy Tango on the fly. Then I made him a League of Legends account off of that Gmail, and he still didn't want to play. And so I was like, well, fuck it. I kind of like that name. And so at the time I was trying to start doing YouTube videos. And so I was like, I kind of like that. That's kind of snappy. It rolls off the tongue. So I decided to go with that.
So you started out with YouTube first. What year was that? Was that like, well, this is League of Legends. Well, League of Legends has been around for like 15 years or something, but
yeah, it had to be around 2015, 2016. I was watching a lot of Markiplier, and you can actually see like the yeah, you can see the influence there a little bit.
Really?
He was my guide to success. I've never been one to like imitate heavily, so I kind of tried to shy away.
Did you want to copy his formula because he was successful, or did you just like enjoy the content, or was it kind of both?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I watched multiple people, and there was definitely a formula. You know, you have a quick, less than 10-second intro to all of your videos. You put the content, and then at the end you have some big wub wub song where there's a couple of pictures that you can click for another video, you know? And so that's kind of the format that I went with.
So, okay. So you did the YouTube thing
very briefly.
Okay. Very briefly. I honestly didn't even know that's how you got your start. I'm kind of coming into this blind. Sometimes I do preparation and I try to get background on people, but I kind of wanted to hear it from your side, you know?
It's not save that for Bruce Willis. Like, oh, this is
not Bruce Strongballs. Yeah.
No. There's not much information out there on my YouTube career.
That's another one of your aliases.
It is, yeah.
Are you just like building up a bunch of secret identities in case you got to go undercover? like trying to throw people off your scent?
Maybe I don't know. I'm just getting keywords into Google so that one day maybe I can make some kind of Zodiac killer note and people will be able to piece
Oh
it
shit!
together with that.
Oh god, it's gonna be another one of these like cicada puzzles about Sippy Tango.
That's right.
Like take the first letter of all of his tweets and then try to figure out what it means.
God, I wish I was that smart.
Right. That's the thing. People can turn anything into a conspiracy. Oh, but he used 11 words.
Sometimes their conspiracies are a lot smarter than the actual events.
That's true. That's true. What I'm trying to do is kind of like establish like a timeline, but I also kind of want to jump back prior to YouTube. But I am always interested, since we are kind of, a lot of the people I talk to on here are in the Twitch community, which means that we watch live streams and most of us create live streams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you discover Twitch? What was sort of like a chain of events that encouraged you to start your own stream?
Okay. Well, I was watching some Rust videos. I've been playing Rust since like a very long time ago when it was very fresh.
Did you start in like the Rust Oxide time, or?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. There's actually a video of me with a guy named Dragon Iraq 2014 or something like that.
Wait, is that the guy's name?
That's his name on YouTube.
Oh,
And he's
okay.
got like, I want to say he's got like over 1 million followers now.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's an old school type of alias right there.
Yeah. So like I met him on my first day playing and he was filming the whole time. And I'm still in that video today.
He didn't cut you out?
No, he didn't. We were actually friendly.
Nice.
I had a gun at the time, and him and his friend were hiding in the hut that was like a little prefab that you could make for your first house back then. And I told him, I need food. Give me some food. And he's like talking with his friend. Should we let him in? And like I could hear everything they were saying. And I was like, I could shoot down your house right now and take your food. I just want some food. Anyways, so I was watching to get to your question. How did I find out about Twitch? I was watching some videos and I saw Beach Hills, and he had his going deep videos where he would just run in people's bases and take all their shit. I think he's probably still making those. They're really successful.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching that and I saw the little tab and it said, I'm live on Twitch right now. And I was like, hey, that sounds like a cool thing to check out. So I clicked on it and I watched him and I was like, hey, this is pretty neat to interact with the person that you saw on YouTube. This is like interactive TV.
Yeah.
You know, and I hadn't experienced Justin TV or any of that stuff. So I'm pretty old school. I kind of just fell into it a little late.
Right. Yeah. And I guess that would have been, yeah, you did kind of fall into it a little bit late, but that's always a cool way to discover it, better than like how people are probably discovering it now. If they've never heard of it, they're like, oh, check out this guy Ninja. He makes a shitload of money and you can too.
Yeah.
No, but that's cool. So I imagine that first sort of impression of like, did you like type to Beach Hills or whoever it was that you first watched, and did they like respond to you and you're like, oh damn, I can actually like bounce some things off of them? Was it that experience? Yeah,
totally. Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. It was way different than just watching a video. You know,
right.
A little more of an intimate setting.
Yeah. Did you also get this side of it, kind of like, oh, there's a new game coming out, let's see who's playing it? Or was it mostly just kind of the bouncing from YouTube to Twitch?
I kind of just stuck to Rust.
Oh, okay. So it's very specific. Okay.
Yeah, and whenever I found out about Twitch, I pretty much just was watching that for the most part, and I looked around to see who else is playing the game, and I found Scudpunk. And at first, I was like, "Who is this freaking nerd? Like this guy is. I don't like this guy." And so I stuck around, and he started doing, I don't know if you've ever seen it, his octopus dance.
Yep.
Yeah, he started doing the octopus dance, and I was like, oh, okay, it's self-aware. Like, it knows just how flawed he is. So I thought that was really funny, and I can really appreciate someone that's self-aware like that. So I started watching him, and started showing up all the time, started giving out free keys to the game. It was still very cheap back then.
Yeah.
Like $10. So I was giving out, keys and just trying to help his channel grow, and I became a mod. And then he was looking for a den mother one week, somebody to take care of the house and make sure that components are being
Right.
filed in their respective places and
Yeah,
cooking
just
ore and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I guess just for context, I'll try to explain. So, and you can just correct me. I think it's a pretty basic concept. You kind of explained it, but Rust, there's a lot of base building. Base building and raiding is like it's the basic way you could describe the gameplay. So the den mother makes sure that like everything's cool in the base. People are bringing things in. Making sure that all of your resources are being handled and that the base is okay. Right.
Yeah, if somebody dies and they're in the middle of a hot fight and they can, they're able to jump back out in there, I can grab a gun, some gear, throw it on the ground and get them out faster so that they're
Hmm.
more likely to succeed.
How
That
big
kind
of
of stuff.
a how big of a group would it have to be for you to have a den mother? Is it like 5 or 6 people or more?
He usually played solo, so I mean it was pretty
Oh,
much just
really?
him and I, and like if he
Oh,
got in some
really?
hot shit, I'd run out.
Oh. So
Um
basically, you're in the base to see if it's getting raided and shit like that.
yeah, that and just processing materials and
Mm.
making sure that because like you
Yeah, because
harvest
there is
ore
that.
and that needs to be cooked in a forge and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So just managing that.
right. There is that side to it. There is that. That's the den mother side to it, along with the PvP and raiding.
Yeah, and in order to get the best footage, people want to see you out killing people, and so
Hmm.
uh, pretty much my job was to do all the mundane stuff so that he can have maximum exposure time out there.
Huh.
So I did a really good job, and I was invited back again and again and again, week after week, and I just became part of the team.
Hmm.
Another player who's really successful right now, Shaky HD,
Oh yeah.
became our third. And so we had a group of three, and we had a really good thing going because each one of us had a very strong personality, and we all had different play styles and strengths. And so we made a very good trio. And I never had intention on streaming, but there was enough demand. People were saying they wanted me to stream. So I started up and
So
just kind of took on, like, it,
oh,
it took off overnight.
so this came from Scud Punk's community, right?
That's right.
Primarily, yeah. Okay. It was Shacky. He was kind of making content at the time too. I'm assuming. I don't know his history, but
He was very, very low on the map. Like,
oh really?
yeah, no
Huh.
one really knew who he was at the time either.
Damn.
Scudpunk lifted up a bunch of people.
That's really cool, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like he's been really influential and just instrumental in getting a lot of people started, which is really great.
Yeah. Yeah, he has been.
Hopefully those people remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, definitely you do. I'm not saying you don't, but yeah. And I like the guy. I don't know him that well, but all the interactions I've had with him have been really good. How do you feel about like the state of Rust YouTube right now? It seems like there's like a lot of good content out there, but a lot of it, at least that's been recommended to me in that, is using like the same formula. It seems like a lot of kind of the same people with different personalities, I guess, but they're all kind of like telling a story. Is that like what you see in Rust YouTube, or am I missing the algorithm somewhere? It
I
seems like they're
mean,
all seems like they're all kind of making the same video, but with different play styles and personalities.
there's a couple of different types of Rust videos, and just to start it off, Rust is a very difficult market on YouTube because what was it, Vertigo, another YouTube personality. He just put out one with a dude, Sir Winner, and depending on is the new algorithm that YouTube is using, they as soon as you upload something that's Rust related, sometimes it'll just go yellow and demonetize you immediately.
Really? Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Whether it be keywords or maybe you said a swear 3 seconds in. I'm
Oh
not
god.
sure what it goes off of, but I know a lot of creators that are saying that it's just getting more and more difficult to get your content past that. But
Wow.
there's a
Okay.
couple of types of videos for Rust. You have pretty much the sweaty tryhards who are just gods at the game, gods at PvP, and so they've got maximum control on the recoil of the AK, and they just like have pinpoint accuracy and just go out to dominate people. You got your H Junes and Shaky HDs, Trowsy. These guys are just really, really, really good. And I've missed a bunch of people, but you can't go naming off everybody.
Of course, there's a ton of them.
So you've got them, just the people who have extreme talent in dominating other people, and then you have base building tutorials because not
Oh,
everybody's
sure.
creative enough to make something that's strong and will last a wipe, because people will try and break
Huh.
into your stuff. And if somebody's got a really good design, a lot of people want to know about that. So there's base building, you got the tryhards, and then you have like cinema, where people are trying to tell a story.
That's the type of video that I get recommended a lot. It's the cinematic type.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, what Rust is a unique game in that I don't know. It takes a different type of personality to like really get hardcore into it. You have to have a thick skin, wouldn't you agree? Like,
Oh yeah. You have to
you,
learn, and this took me a while. You have to learn to be able to let go of what's yours because it's not yours. Uh,
yeah,
Nothing is permanent, and you have to really get over that, especially if you enjoy making bases or something like that and
mhm,
decorating and making it look real nice and stuff like that. You got to
yeah.
understand that somebody out there wants to take your shit.
It's more so than any other game that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Really, it's things could just be over, especially like the offline rating and shit like that.
Mm.
which is another conversation. But I'm not really a Rust player, but I do
You're never
consume a lot of.
safe,
Yeah, you're
ever.
never safe ever.
You can't sleep. I've heard of people laying down in bed with their headphones on so that they can have a heads up when someone's blowing into their base.
Wow, isn't there like do they have like apps for phones or anything that like monitor your base? I know they had that in other games, like
Nothing
where
yet.
nothing yet. I thought there was something in the works, but anyway.
No, they've got electricity that was recently introduced to the game, and so I
Hmm.
mean maybe we'll see something like that, like a
Some kind of
CCTV camera,
base
something
alarm that could be like tied into SMS messaging that just goes a
possibly.
little when things like bleed from the game to real life, it gets to be a little bit much. You talking about like wearing your headphones to bed so you can hear when someone's raiding your base. You gotta like kind of don't you think you have to kind of separate yourself from the game a little bit? Otherwise you start to go a little stir crazy. You start to like live the game.
Most definitely, man. I'm on like a 3-month hiatus right now. I've taken 6-month breaks just because.
Wow. You
I mean,
have 6 months away from Rust?
oh yeah, like
Wow.
you have
Okay.
to. Some people have like 10,000 hours. I have 6,000 hours in the game, and that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
But like it's just having to be on your guard at every single second, and just the heartache of, oh, I've got to start over. You know, you'd think that you get used to it after 6,000 hours, but
Huh.
I don't think you ever get used to it. It's kind of.
Huh. I think that you've done a nice job of kind of establishing yourself as not just a Rust creator. Like you're Sippy Tango. People come to see you, but it's probably fair that people know you most from Rust. That's kind of how you got your start, right?
For sure, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've had to work really hard at that and seen darker times where I'm not as successful as I normally would be
Hmm.
playing the game that I'm known for.
Hmm. Do you
You
ever
have to
feel
establish that.
like pressured to go back to Rust just because of that reason?
For sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always pressured to go where the bread is, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a hard one. I guess it depends on kind of what your goals are for your channel. At a certain point, you're either kind of striving for that sort of growth and income or whatever you get from it. It's just the reality of it, right?
Yeah.
It's either that or you're kind of doing what you want to do. And for some people, some people can be laser focused on one game,
Yeah. I
and
guess it
some
depends
people,
on what you consider the finish line. Like
mm,
I've kept it in my mind that, one day this game's going to go away,
yeah,
and I've got to have something else than that, something other than just Rust to fall back on,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
And I think you kind of don't you think you get diminishing returns when you're playing a game and you just kind of hate your life at a certain point. I
Oh,
think
for
you've kind
sure.
of already answered that because you've had to take breaks from it. So what would instigate you to have to take a break?
When you've done something for 6,000 hours,
Hmm.
anything, like
Hmm.
if you've eaten your favorite food for 6,000 hours, you probably won't want that food anymore, or you'd have to take a long step away from, eating ribeyes before you're in the mood for a ribeye anymore.
Right, right. Well, you said that in the game you kind of have to be used to. losing stuff, gaining stuff all the time, as far as loot. Your
Hmm.
base might just be gone when you log in, you might be dead. So like what constitutes like a bad day where you wouldn't want to do it anymore, or is it just kind of burnout, general burnout?
I mean, there is general burnout, but I'd say the worst part about streaming Rust is that the more successful you get, the more intervention you get
Okay.
from stream snipers,
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
both friendly and unfriendly. They're like, "Here, I've got stuff for you." It's like for me personally,
I fucking hate it,
I
dude.
tell
Yeah.
them, "Listen, I'm glad that you're enjoying the show, but I'm really not looking for anything except for the genuine experience of playing the game."
Yeah. That's the worst. It ruins it for you, doesn't it? Either way, like you just man, I used to get so triggered by that. Doesn't really happen to me anymore because I don't play a lot of games like that anymore. But yeah, that's the thing that would really grate on you because you just really want like a good experience for you, but you also want to like create this like adventure for the viewers too, and it totally breaks your immersion and everybody else's when like somebody either stream snipes you and kills you, or they stream snipe you and they like find you in the game. It's like as soon as it's like all bets are off at that point, and it just kind of that really can like it'll always affect you no matter what.
It's especially troublesome in Rust because you'll be farming for days and days and days to get explosives to blow
Oof.
into somebody's house. And then as soon as you go out with rockets or C4 or something that's very valuable,
Mm,
like clockwork, a group of six will show up with the best weapons
yeah,
out there and smoke your ass, and they know
yeah.
exactly where you're
They're
at.
basically like door camping you.
Yeah, so they know when you're going out with the good
Right.
stuff, and they know
They're
exactly where
they're
you're
they're
at.
trying to make it seem like they're not door camping you, but they basically
Some
are.
are
They're
blatant, some are blatant, some aren't.
just sitting outside with a double barrel. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the bane of streaming Rust is the more popular you are, the
Oh,
less privacy you have.
I didn't even think of it that way. So having a good server to play on is pretty key, and I think that you've had some good servers to play on with good admins, but
Yeah,
even then it can be tough.
there's utilities available to find anybody, and once you have their Steam 64 ID, you can just
Oof.
find them at any time, anywhere.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah,
That is rough. Kind of man, in general, I guess I'll take this in a different direction because it made me think of it. Uh Game developers really don't focus on protecting streamers in that way. You've seen instances where and and I guess from the side of like just the casual players and that they don't like it when content creators get like what they would call preferential treatment.
yeah, I could
But
see that.
but man, it's like if it ruins your experience, it doesn't make you want to really stream the game. So like you wish that there was something they could do. It just if there was something that could be done, like I don't even know. They can't really put it in their terms of service because it's like how do you prove it and like all all that.
There's a rocky time where they tried, and they tried saying that stream sniping was against the
Yeah,
rules, and then they found out that, man, this is just going to take nothing but manpower in order to monitor,
right.
and it's difficult to prove, and then they just kind of switched their mind, like, okay, you can do it if you want, but it's kind of shitty.
I've the only times I've really gotten fiery with like sending support tickets in to developers and that has been like when I've gotten stream sniped and stuff, and I've sent emails in. I won't say which game, but the response I get back is kind of like, well, there's isn't shit we can do about it, and then I'm like, really? Well, what the fuck, man? Help me out.
Be
I'm trying to
cooler if
help
you
you
could.
out.
Yeah.
God, I just wish, yeah, I wish that the response in that particular time would have been something more like that, and it was more like robotic and like giving me the legalese about it. And I'm like, okay, well, damn, this just sucks, basically.
Well, that also helps whenever you start shaping your audience and grooming them to be just respectable people. And
Mm,
I mean, some people are looking
yeah.
for just maximum viewership, and they let everything fly.
Uh,
And then there's some people that just stick to their guns and say, this isn't acceptable here.
right. No,
That's
you gotta put your damn foot down and say, listen, it's over.
well, if
Like
you
this is
don't,
not happening.
then you're just it just blooms very, very quickly, and you just have a
Oh
bunch
yeah.
of meme lords in there.
Yeah, people like you and Sequisha and other people I know, you definitely a firm understanding that like we don't tolerate shit, you know. But then again, like I love your community, who you call the Sippy Tango drones. Like they
Some good
very
peeps.
playful, very fun, but they don't cross the line, you know.
Yeah,
They know where the line is, but they're fun people to be around.
that's pretty much like the expectation, you know. Just don't push somebody over that line, you know. Fuck with them, talk shit, uh, but don't be an asshole.
Right. Yeah, and like we're all here to have fun.
Right.
But then again, like some people just their idea of fun is like ruining somebody else's day, and that's the kind of person who doesn't belong.
Most definitely, and like you gotta let them understand that they don't belong here as fast as
Yeah,
you can once you recognize it.
that's right. Well, let's go back. I want to go back before YouTube, because I can tell that you have kind of a deep history with video games, and it seems like it's something that was widely accepted in your household. Tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up and what your relationship with video games was.
There was a lot of video games. I mean, I've always been really active too. I mean, I was born in '83, and so you know I come from the time where there was a phone in the house,
Right.
and so yeah, I mean, you had to get out. Your parents made you go and play and you know pick berries and hit each other with sticks. So
A
that's
lot
part
of
of being an '80s kid.
lot of berry picking and stick fighting. Gotcha.
That just go out and do something.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
So you come from the same generation I did, where we did have to have some imagination. It wasn't Things weren't just kind of handed to us that way. We weren't just like handed a tablet and then like browse the internet, watch some YouTube and Netflix, and then I don't know, like act those things out. Like we
yeah.
had toys and we had cartoons.
We had good toys and cartoons.
That's right.
You remember Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters?
Oh hell yeah.
Oh man, they
Yep.
had good toys.
Yeah. I had like I don't know what. I had like crash test dummies and GI. I never actually had GI Joes though.
I didn't either. My grandma took
Huh.
me to a toy store with my cousin once and said you can get anything you want.
Huh.
And my cousin ended up getting a GI Joe, and I think it was like that Fisher Price Doctor set.
What the hell, man?
I don't know, man. I don't
You're
know.
like looking for the most valuable thing.
No, I don't know if it was necessarily that. I think I've just always been interested in
Uh,
medicine.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. You grew up with like NES and stuff like that, right?
Most definitely. To get
NES.
back on track, my mom, when she's talking about the old days, she said, if I had known what that Nintendo would have done earlier, I would have bought it because I was a hyperactive little fucker. And
Uh,
I was always just getting in trouble because I was bored. And once she got that thing, I was like an anchor, just anchored down, staying in place. She didn't have to wonder where I was or what I was doing or getting into. That was one of the things that just I'd focus on and I wouldn't get off of. So
no
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Opposite for me, man. It was like the video games were the problem, and like me being outside was like whatever. Just go start a fire or something.
really,
Yeah, it's weird, but I don't want to derail your story.
that's pretty much it.
So, so did your parent? So your mom just like would let you play as many video games as you wanted?
I mean, so long as I had the majority of my other stuff done,
Oh, okay. So
and
so
like,
you were required to do your chores and your
yeah,
homework and stuff like that.
hmm
So is that kind of like a reward thing for you at
I
the end of
think
the
that we
day?
did have like a reward based system going on. Um,
Do your homework, you get 1 hour. Do
yeah,
your chores, you get half hour,
see, I
something
think
like
that
that.
that structure kind of caught on later whenever like Super Nintendo was out, and I was like,
Oh
I
shit.
must have been like 12 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
But earlier, I pretty much just
Yeah.
played whatever I wanted because I'd get bored and I'd go outside anyways.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of these early Nintendo games, leading up to some of the Mario's and that, like even those, you can only play them for so long, and
oh
then you kind
yeah,
of get bored of it,
well,
right?
Donkey Kong
They're more
2,
like
man. There's only 4 stages.
it's like an arcade style experience.
Hmm
I was thinking about that. I was watching people playing Burger Time, and they were talking about it.
I was just thinking about Burger Time. That
Yeah,
was a
Burger
hard game.
Time. It's a very hard game, but like there's only like 6 levels, and a lot of times you don't even get past the second level because you only got like a couple shakes of pepper, and then like you just run around. There's fucking hot dogs chasing you.
Yeah, I remember those eggs were always kicking my ass.
Yeah, fucking creepy ass eggs. So like these video games, what I'm trying to get is like video games earlier on were based on like arcade games, and then they started to
Yeah,
branch out and make these more like adventure type games, Zelda and stuff like that.
yeah,
But
there's a lot of stinkers out there.
yeah, but in when it came to SNES, the games became a little bit more immersive, and you could spend a bit more time. You could really sink some serious hours into it.
Yeah, they were
Of
getting
course, there
more
was like
sophisticated.
RPGs and that came out before, but
Yeah.
if you weren't into that, like for me, it was like arcade games, sports games, shit like that. So it was like,
I remember that like I remember going to arcades, but like I was really big into Street Fighter 2. What else? Super Nintendo. I remember I went over to my friend's house before I had a Super Nintendo, and he had gotten one for Christmas. And I remember seeing that cape on Mario, and I was like, that is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life.
oh, damn, yeah.
So cool. I didn't get one until the following Christmas. So I just had to live with the knowledge that this existed and I don't have it.
Pretty much got an NES the year before Super Nintendo came out, and then Super Nintendo sometime around 93, 94, something like that. So pretty late into the cycles, but
That
friends and
N60
relatives.
N64 was a great Christmas.
Were you 64 kid?
Oh, I was.
Nintendo, yeah,
I mean, I was a kid for all of them, I guess. But like
yeah,
N64 was the last console I've ever owned, and there
no
were some
shit.
really good titles on it.
How do you feel like your relationship with games like sort of shifted from when you were a kid until, let's say, like 18? Like, did you find yourself more immersed, or was it more like what types of games attracted you back then?
Uh,
And did that kind of change as time went on?
it kind of evolved. There was a couple of, like I'm the kind of person that I find a game that I'm good at, and I just stick to it. And so there was a couple of those games. There was Jedi Academy, or what was it, Jedi Outcast,
Okay,
and that was a really good first person shooter that had this third person lightsaber battling and stuff,
okay.
and it
Was
was
that was
online
that on
multiplayer.
PC?
It was. I transitioned
Oh,
to
okay,
PC after Nintendo 64, and
gotcha.
so I got really into Diablo 2, got really into let's see, Halo 1, yeah, Jedi Outcasts. There was a couple of them. World of Warcraft I had like a 4-year career of, and yeah, just kind of stuck with certain titles that stuck out to me.
Before I get too far, I want to ask about sort of Nintendo, Did you only have Nintendo systems? You didn't
I was a
have
Nintendo
Genesis?
kid, yeah.
Right. Okay. So name a game from each system that you would just plug in and play endlessly. I think people want to know that.
Oh God. Okay, there was a couple
You can name a couple if you want.
for the NES. Well, let's start with the Sega that I didn't own. The Sega version of Mortal Kombat was clearly better because it had blood, and it also had like the more realistic
Okay.
audio and stuff that you'd see
Yeah.
at the arcade.
That was a pretty big deal when that was in the arcade.
Oh yeah,
Uh Crazy.
they thought it was gonna just open a gate to hell.
What NES game did you list one? I don't think so.
There's no, not yet. There's a bullshit
No.
game, and it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
Oh yeah, the first one.
Oh man, that game was a pile of shit. Like if you were a
Really
kid and
tough.
you managed to get past that water level where you're just like
Oh my god.
getting past all the electrical coral or
Yeah.
whatever it
It's
was.
like the little electric eels or something, or it
Yeah.
was like electrified. It was like more like electrified
Well, then
corals.
it
Yeah,
sends you to this overhead map where you're in like the turtle van, and it's a
right.
labyrinth. Like there's no
Yeah.
way that a kid would be able to find what they're looking for on purpose.
I mean, all kids wanted was the beat 'em up anyway. I don't know why they
Yeah.
made it. Oh, I know why they made this like adult themed to where it was just so difficult.
They
But
just
everything was kind of NES hard back then. So
yeah, it was hard because it was broken, and
yeah.
you had to figure out a way to outsmart
they should just given
yeah.
you. They should have just given you unlimited continues or something. I guess the legacy of the game would be different in that case, and same with like Battletoads and stuff
Yeah.
like
Oh
that. So
God. Yeah, I remember Battletoads being the coolest shit, but I never owned it, and
right.
it's probably a good thing because it was just such a difficult game. It was so cool. Like if you would have made it playable for everybody, that could have really
Yeah.
stuck around. Oh shit. What games? Rescue Rangers. Chippendales
Rescue
Rescue Rangers. That was
Rangers.
a really
Dude,
good
all
game.
those Disney games were great.
Yeah, The Little Mermaid. That was a good game.
Yeah.
You had to sweep
Freaking
your tail and get them in a bubble. Bubble Bobble. That was a great game.
shit, maybe that was the one I liked. I'm trying to think. I thought it was Chip and Dale. Or was it a different game? Yeah, I think maybe Rescue Rangers is the game. I'm not doing any Googling, so
Yeah.
yeah. How about 64?
64, you got Ocarina of Time and you've got Mario 64. Those two are
Right. What was
legends.
your first impressions of Mario 64?
I thought
Had you seen video of it prior to that? Or did you just like jump into it not knowing, and how mind blowing was it?
I think
Or
I
no,
played a
must have been.
demo at Walmart or something like that,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good." The problem with that generation of gaming was they were trying to push the three-dimensional aspect on
Right.
absolutely everything, and there was so many shitty games.
Yep. So
Uh,
something like Mario 64 was amazing for that in itself, because at least it pulled it off decently. Like,
they put a
looking
lot
back
of
on it,
effort into it.
to really like showcasing the different elements of the controller and still making it feel somewhat like Mario. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't really feel like Mario, but at least you had the music and you had the presentation,
At that point,
everything.
Mario was pretty inconsistent. I mean, it was a side scroller for the most part, but
Mhm.
I mean, you consider the inconsistencies between Mario 1 and 2, and then 3 was like kind of where it decided to take its, sink its feet in and say, okay, we're a side scroller and we're going to start adding new costumes and shit that gave you new abilities. And
Mhm.
I don't know, that was only 2 games deep though, because you had Mario 3, which was
Yeah.
like we got the preview of that on the Wizard, the movie The Wizard.
Yeah, that's right. That's
It
right.
wasn't even out, and we saw that, and everyone lost their fucking minds.
Yeah, I remember that. That was like the only reason why people wanted to watch that movie, is because it showed the new Mario, and
It
it
was
was like,
like a
holy shit.
Yeah, it was
Remember
a
the warp whistle? Yeah.
2-hour Nintendo commercial.
Yeah. The power glove, like,
Yeah.
dude,
You ever play with that thing? What a
yeah,
pile of shit. That
my
thing was so bad. You just ended up
my
playing on like it was a controller anyways. Didn't do
yeah,
anything.
exactly. I got one. I basically got it for free from like my stepsister's boyfriend. Sold me a couple of his Nintendo games when he was getting rid of his stuff, and like I got the Power Glove. I got freaking Tecmo Bowl, which I beat him at Tecmo Bowl because I cheated and I like looked at his controller, because in that game it's a football game,
I
and
remember.
the way the defense works is like, if you pick the same play, you automatically just like run over everybody.
Yeah,
And I kept
yeah.
just looking at his controller and pressing the same buttons. He's
And you
like,
only had
"How
like
are you
3 or 4
doing
plays.
this?"
Yeah. I remember getting that
But
Hail Mary every play.
that's right. Well, I guess my original question was kind of like how your taste in games shifted, but I guess it seems like when you got to PC, like it was kind of like PC and console are two different, completely different things. They're two completely different animals. Like, on console, you have the ability to do things that are built to be played on a controller, and that was kind of rapidly shifting into the 3D space, away from side scrollers and stuff like that. And when you get to PC, it's built to be played on keyboard and mouse,
Yeah.
right? Did you play any like old school PC, or did you transition into it kind of like later on,
There's
like
there's 2 games
post
that stick out
2000?
as the oldest memory of a game that I've played. Actually, there's 3. You got Battle Chess, which I played in like
Hell
1994,
yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah.
if you remember that, and
Yeah, I played
that
it in
was
Radio Shack. Yep.
way before I had a PC. And then there was I want to say it's called Return of Zork, and it was a
Yep.
text-based game,
Yeah.
and I played that at somebody's house, and it is what it is. There's no graphics or anything, so
Right.
and you only have so many options, predetermined options that you're probably not going to think of as a kid. So that
Mm.
wasn't very long lasting. But I remember staying up night after night playing Doom 2 to the Downward Spiral album by Nine Inch Nails
Holy shit.
on repeat.
Damn.
So yeah,
94, 95. Yeah.
every time I hear the Downward Spiral, I think of Doom and vice versa. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, put some time into Doom 2.
That's not too far off, because Trent Reznor lent his music to, I think, in the like Quake soundtrack or something.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I think so.
Nice.
I might be wrong about that, but I think that's true. One of the Quake soundtracks. But
What a
so
gift.
like FPS, and then you mentioned that Jedi Outcast game. Those were the sort of games that sort of initial, and Diablo. Those are the sort of games that initially kind of influenced your path on on kind of where you ended up here playing kind of like FPS survival. I guess you still kind of play a little World of Warcraft, right? And you
Yeah,
still
yeah,
do
I've revisited it.
some RPG, you still do some like D&D and stuff like that. So
The
your taste
D&D
hasn't
is new, but
D&D is new, huh? Okay.
yeah, yeah, I've never ever. This is my first time ever playing it.
Huh. I didn't know that. That must have come from, did that come from kind of friends that you knew, or did it come from some of your interests in, like, say, games and movies and stuff like that?
I was actually watching Harmon Quest with Dan Harmon, the creator of Rick and Morty.
Okay.
He's got a podcast called Harmontown, and he was playing like a quick one-off of D&D with oh god, what's his name? A couple of dudes from Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Okay. Yeah, I can picture him.
Yeah, and so it just kind of caught my interest, and I had played a couple of years ago like one game of 3.5 version 3.5, and I didn't really get it. You know, I didn't understand that I can do absolutely anything that I want to do
Right.
if I roll, if I roll right. I was just kind of bumbling, Bill Murraying through the world, not understanding, what my capabilities were. And this time I've gone in with a little more information. I did some homework.
Hmm.
So
Did you do were you did you play as DM in the games that you did? Because you
no,
streamed some, you didn't. Who was the DM in your games?
Buckle BD.
Oh, that's right. Buckle was, oh, that totally makes sense. Now it's coming back to me. I was thinking you weren't the DM in those, were you? No way.
No, no, hell no,
Okay.
that would be a
Yeah.
nightmare. It's going
Yeah,
into your
right.
first D&D games as the DM. That sounds like a nightmare for everybody involved.
Yeah. No, that's stupid. I don't know why. I was just trying to picture like who was the DM.
At some,
Um,
like in the 70s and 80s, I'm pretty sure that was the way you had to do it, though. It was just you and your friends make some characters and then you just wing
right.
it.
I think it was. I think that Thoglor. Yeah, Thoglor told me this. What kind of influenced him to become a DM was in their games, that like the real life games earlier on, he would just be kind of like hanging around, not really even participating much, and then they would kind of rotate DMs to kind of like not force people, but it kind of gives the DM a break, and it gives other people an opportunity to get some experience, and then you have other people that already have experience doing it there to kind of to coach you along, because it's a pretty daunting thing. What is it about, like, did you feel like you're kind of settling into maybe doing more of this role play now?
I
Or
mean,
maybe.
it was kind of just an experiment to see
Mm,
how palatable it was
an
to a
audience.
viewer, yeah, to an audience.
Mm,
But also, I was curious to play it myself, just as a new game. I
sure.
think this is something I could play for the rest of my life for
Huh.
sure.
So what is it about it? Like, what do you like do you like the lore, or do you like more like the interaction between players?
It's all of it.
All of it.
I like the freedom, and let me just derail a little bit. I tried to play the remastered version of, oh, what's the one with Big Daddy and Little Sister?
Oh, like freaking,
Bethesda.
yeah. Okay. Oh, God.
Somebody's pulling their hair out right now.
BioShock.
BioShock. Okay, so I tried to play BioShock a couple of years ago, and it was the remastered, and there was a bunch of glitches and bugs and shit. But I tried playing that for the first time, and there's this one quest that told me to go find somebody, and I found out that like at this point, after playing sandbox games where I do what I feel like instead of I do what I'm told,
Mm.
I'm really bad at video games now, like linear video games, and so like the freedom, I guess, is the answer to your question. I enjoy the freedom
Interesting.
of being able to do whatever I want.
Right. You like to be able to go in a different direction than.
Yeah, I don't want to be railroaded into a plot
Is it like spur the moment type of stuff, or
sometimes.
so it's kind of improv, but it's also, do you feel like it's also like getting deep into the backstory of the character that you've created in making decisions that they like, trying to live it through them, right? Because you're like playing a character, right? You're not necessarily playing like Sippy Tango, right? You're
Right.
playing, or maybe you are. There's situations where that it works that way, but like, what is it for you? Is it kind of a mix of both?
I think that a good role player is almost always going to make their decisions based on the personality of their
Hmm.
player character.
Right. But
Um,
also there's things that come up sometimes that require you to kind of shift and do a little bit more improvisation rather than completely stick to the script.
Yeah,
Because just like a person, your character, and these are all things I've learned from Thoglor, because he's like the godfather of my tiny bit of role play experience.
same.
Because just like in real life, like situations happen and you have to adapt, and sometimes it's like a shift in your alignment of how your character's ideals and morals are, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm pretty quick to adapt,
Hmm.
and so I haven't found any difficulty in that.
Uh,
Just dive in, man. If you're
huh.
confused or something like that, just embrace it and
Hmm.
see what
Okay.
happens. I mean,
I
you
got
got to understand that your character's got a death wish from the start
That's right.
that it was created, so it's tough to let go.
I guess maybe I got one and a half questions left on the RP stuff.
Sure.
Do you feel that now this is like me relating to you because we're both somewhat new to RP.
Hmm.
What do you think that your characters defaulted to, like when you didn't really know what was going on? I'll tell you what I defaulted to. A lot of times I defaulted to just like a goofy type of personality, or like super serious, because I didn't know the lore and I didn't know what the hell is going on, so I had to like kind of play that off of my character somehow, because I just didn't know. Like I had to basically play a dumb guy. Like what
Okay.
was what was it like for you, or did you not really have much trouble?
For me, my character that I'm playing in my current campaign right now, he's just got a lot of bravado, like with
Okay.
no substance behind it. And so I'll take credit for things that weren't my accomplishments and
Sure.
stuff like that. So I mean, I kind of it's my character is very much like me,
Hmm.
but with embellishments. It's very easy to roleplay as him because he's got very similar traits that I've
Hmm.
embellished from things that I hate about myself.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, like, I'll take things that I felt like ew about, in certain circumstances of my life, and I'll make those some of his character traits.
Do you feel like that's something that kind of describes you as a person more? Like you will kind of openly say things about yourself that you don't like, or where does that sort of like you mentioned that this bravado is something that's more like you, like explain that.
Well,
Like
that's
what does
something
that
that
mean?
whenever I've performed being overconfident or something like that, I dwell on it later and say, "Ugh,
Hmm.
that was ugly.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy that. What I did there." And so
Hmm.
I try to learn from it and not do things that I feel guilty about or feel gross about later.
Huh.
So
Why do you feel like you feel guilty?
Uh, sometimes there's guilt involved with
Huh.
things that we do in our daily lives, and
Oh,
so
just kind of like being a dick to people,
right,
or
right.
okay. Okay.
Just things that you didn't find favorable, like the way
Hmm.
that you handled a situation or something like that. And so I've
Hmm.
taken some of those and applied it to my character.
Okay. So I guess I'm trying to get to the bottom of this here. Maybe you don't want to.
Okay, here's an example.
Okay.
Whenever somebody asks a question about something that I'm not super knowledgeable about, and then I ignorantly throw in my 2 cents about something that I'm don't understand
Okay.
fully, and I act like I've got a valid opinion about something. That's something that I feel gross about because I'm either spreading misinformation on someone who trusts my word, or I'm just talking out my ass.
Hmm.
And uh, it's stuff like that I don't
Right.
find
You know,
to be a shining quality.
I would say, man, I would say I wouldn't worry about it, especially in Twitch streaming, because it's entertainment. I'm talking about in real life, it's different. But do you have kind of have a trouble kind of separating the sort of self conscious aspects of your personality online versus real life, or is it kind of meld together a little bit? It seems like it does.
I think I'm pretty.
Even keel both ways.
I don't think that I'm able to balance multiple versions of myself, and so I'm pretty much who you think I
Mm.
am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not a bad thing because people kind of know what you'd be like.
I can appreciate it, man. I can appreciate people like that that I don't have to guess what how you're going to react to something because you wear yourself on your sleeve. I appreciate that kind
Hmm.
of personality.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that we're kind of the same in that aspect. I have a hard time kind of compartmentalizing things. Like I gotta I gotta like deal with it. Either that or it's gonna bug the shit out of me.
Mm.
Do you ever have like days where things are something's really bugging you? So like, does streaming ever become stressful to you to where you're like, I just can't do it today, or do you not have a problem with that? It seems like you have a pretty good, you're able to keep a decent schedule.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, like I have severe depression, man. Like I've lost almost every job I've ever had. I've lost because I've had days where I wake up and I say to myself, going out is not an option. Like
Mm,
I just can't do it. And so like I most definitely applied that to my current
huh.
job. Um but yeah, sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes a week, man. And like that's something that an employer just won't take as an answer. Sorry, I just can't do
Damn,
it. So
that's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, when you deal with shit like that,
Hmm.
for sure you have days where you can't do it. And then on a different note, sometimes you feel really, really terrible and you stream anyways, and then your chat actually lifts you up.
Man, I tell you what, I'm a little bit surprised at that. It's not necessarily surprising that you deal with depression. I think a lot of people do, but I didn't know that it was that severe for you. You know, I can commiserate a little bit, but I think that we're different in that. I don't know. I guess I've been a very like I don't know. I've been a very like solo person for a long time,
Mm.
so I don't really have like a in real life support system. So I think that I somewhat even like reject when others are trying to like lift me up. I almost have like a wall up. See, for you, like you have a bad day and like the chat can lift you up. I can be open to that, but I don't know. It hasn't really happened for me that way. A lot of times, if I'm in it, I'm just in it, and I have to lift myself out of it.
It's almost like it's
Which,
just a distraction from your woes, I suppose you could say.
mm,
They're not necessarily. I don't know. It's
okay.
just you're in a bad mood, and
Sometimes,
then
yeah.
you're in a fine mood.
Sometimes that distraction is important because that's what's required to get you to not be like seeing the glass as like almost empty. You'd be like, huh, well, there's some water in there. I can fucking just put some more water in there. Then
Well,
let's fucking
yeah.
we get to step out of this hole, right?
Well, the distraction is also taking your mind off of dwelling on the negative, which when you're in a bad mood or
Exactly.
you're surrounded by negativity, if you're just there stewing in it, sitting in a
Hmm.
dark room, just thinking
Yeah.
about nothing else, uh,
Right.
you've got no outside stimulus, and you're just
Yeah.
going to it's going to stick around.
I'll tell you what it looks like for me. It doesn't look like sitting in a dark room. Dude, it's a well lit room. I'm sitting there. I'm trying to watch Netflix or something, or YouTube. Most likely YouTube. Nothing is interesting. I've probably eaten my third corn dog. Like that doesn't even taste good. Like nothing tastes good. Nothing looks good. Nothing sounds good. And you're just like, well, fuck, man. I
That's
don't know.
what
And then
true depression is in my
yeah,
depression's got a weird thing, man, because people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel sad." It's like, "No, it's not that. I don't care. I'm indifferent."
sucks.
That's true depression in my book is just indifference.
Hmm.
When you don't care.
Yeah. Nothing is interesting. And
Nothing has flavor.
what feels great in those moments when you can finally lift out is just to get some shit done. Just get some shit done. A lot of times
Yeah.
I end up like not doing the dishes or something for a couple days, and I'm like, I'll just do the dishes. Oh shit, look, the sink is clean. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe I'll clean the counters now. Oh, maybe I'll do this and that. I'm like, oh, I'm an actual human being now.
And to a further extent, maybe like working on some long-term goals or something like that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna work out. I'm gonna write that shit that I've been wanting to
yeah.
write down. Whatever it
Doing
may
the
be.
doing this podcast has been a big deal for me, man. So thank you so much for coming on. And like, because I went through a time of not doing it, and part of it was being busy with work and that, but really like I was like so scared of falling back into a dark hole again. So like I just like put my nose down and just like I was working like 60 or 70 hours a week,
Yeah.
and it was going gangbusters great for like 3 weeks. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm actually like getting some real life goals done. And then as soon as I had like a tiny setback, I was just like right back down in the hole
Yeah.
in like October.
Yeah. It's
And then
weird.
like Yeah.
just not even the littlest thing, but just one hurdle can throw you back
Yeah.
into the bottom
Yeah.
of the pit.
Yeah.
Like, fuck,
And
man. I
and I
tried really
guess
hard to get up to the top.
yeah, and I guess through therapy is like, but my therapist is just like, well, that's the way it's going to be. There's going to be, you just have to find ways to like coping strategies and that to not, you're going to have some down moments, but so you're not hitting those super lows. And if you are, just ways to, and I feel like I can, like, it's not like a week for me now, it's like a day
I think like with
or 2 days.
experiences of grief or really down times or
Mm,
adversity or whatever it may be, you develop over time techniques that work for you, and they're not always the healthiest techniques, but
mm,
they are your techniques to overcome uh,
that's right.
that heavy feeling.
Do you ever feel like you're unique? You're so unique that you just can't like Google your issue or something like that. You like wish there was an answer to like what the fuck is my deal.
I think
So
that it
like
may be a fallacy, but I also think that I've never met anybody quite like myself. I do feel weird in my own skin.
I don't know if that's true necessarily about me, but thank you for sharing that. It's like so I'll have like really unique, and this is completely unrelated. I'll have a really unique computer issue, and I'll try to Google it, try to find someone with the same issue, cannot ever find it, and I'm like, how do I fix this? But that's how I feel with me. Like I don't know, uh, but I've given up. I've given up trying to find out the solution, and I'm just trying to live and
What's
trying to
fucked
like,
up is there's probably like so many people that are dealing with the
yeah,
exact same thing, and we have
yeah,
no clue.
yeah. In trying to find someone, trying to like find it online is
No,
just so it's just stupid. So,
people are
um,
they're only on the message boards whenever they're trying to fix something. They're rarely there whenever they found the solution.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, man, boy, we my other half question about role play, I think I'm gonna cancel that one.
Okay.
Um because I forgot what it was, but at least I got the one. Yeah, but no, I wanted to learn a bit more about sort of what makes you tick. But there's another thing about your sort of backstory that I think is really sweet. It is that at least these are my assumptions, and well, I assume that your mom and your family really kind of supports you in your journey as a creator. Is that fair to say?
I'd say it's very fair to say they've
Yeah.
watched me struggle and see success and struggle and see success.
Mm.
Ups and downs.
So what is that like to have kind of people close to you that can be there for you to kind of lift you up when you need it?
Well, it feels kind of fucked up being a 35-year-old man and still requiring uh assistance from your loved ones.
Mm,
And it's not necessarily assistance. My mom deals with health issues and stuff like that, and she's getting older, and so I'd say that we have like a nuclear family kind of structure. So like I do live with my family, but they live with me as well. It's not like
yeah,
I'm
man.
I'm in the basement.
Right. You're not the typical like live in the basement and like, mom, get me a sandwich or whatever, which
Sure.
sounds awful, but like you were in support of them and they're in support of you. I think that's beautiful, man. I don't know if there's any other better situation really that you could be in,
It does
to be
make it
honest.
a lengthy explanation whenever you're talking
Mm.
to women or something like that. But
Like, listen, here's the deal,
yeah,
okay? Don't.
I swear to
uh,
God that I don't have delivery Cheetos coming.
That's funny. Oh,
Um,
that's cool though, man.
but yeah, man, like I lost probably 40% of my family before the age of 14, and so
Wow.
I really value my time with my family, and
Mm.
I think it is really cool.
Do you feel like that going through that is kind of what? Well, I think you already answered it, but like, how did that? How did that kind of like? What was it like around that time, and how do you feel like you guys got stronger as a family?
Uh, I don't know, man. I think we've
Did
always
it?
had kind of a strong bond.
Mm,
We're a mess, dude. Like we're just rampant with mental illness and
mm,
stuff like that. But there's still that bond that with the type of people we are. My mom is very much in the same. She wears herself on her sleeve. She doesn't always say the best thing, but you know that she's got a good heart and she's got good intentions. And so
Mm,
when you know that there's no maliciousness behind it, you know, there's no uh, personal gain behind their actions, then
right.
it makes a stronger trust factor. I think
Mm.
it's a rare balance.
Yeah, it's rare to have an altruistic person,
I
right?
think so.
There's
Yeah,
usually, yeah.
there's a lot of people that have motives. Everybody's got motives, but
That's right. Damn. I just think it's really sweet that that your family is so supportive, because it's a hard sell. I tell you what, it's a hard
yeah,
sell trying to, even if you say,
I've heard that it's the
you know,
opposite for you. Like you
oh yeah,
uh,
my family doesn't. My family thinks it's a waste of time, basically.
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, there's some things that you can't convince people.
It's just I'm over it, but yeah, it does really kind of honestly, it does bum me out. It does bum me out because
Well, it sucks when people
it,
expect you to fail or they think that you're not doing something productive.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough because they're like, well, what? Okay, so I've been fucking making content really since, I mean, pre YouTube and stuff like that. I used to make these like montage videos and stuff, and I can't discredit that time as like something that didn't influence me, because I always like wanted to share like some aspect of me I wanted to share, right? And
Sure.
I was never like a performer. I was never somebody who did like theater or drama or anything, but I always was kind of the person that was trying to, I don't know, get my friends to react to things. And then I was like, well, check out this video. Once I knew I could do that,
So you
you
had a
know,
vision. You were a director, or
yeah, something. I mean, I was a shitty video editor, but I was trying. I was trying to do something,
you gotta
right?
start somewhere.
I didn't know what it was, man, but it came to when I have an opportunity to share something, I did. And
Yeah,
then the live streaming thing was just like, what the hell is this? Right? That came out as like, oh, people can chat with you while you're playing?
it's
That's
another avenue.
wild. That
It's
shit's
something to try
wild.
at least.
Yeah. So I've been doing that shit forever, and I've been doing either Justin TV or Twitch since the genesis of it, 2010, 2011, all the way till now. We're coming up on like a decade.
How do you
And so
think your
my
family
fam,
would react if you started just making shit tons of money from this?
I don't know. They'd be like, "Oh, good for you." They wouldn't be like, "Oh my god, I'm so proud of you." I really feel that way, and I don't know. Maybe I think I'm a little bit bitter, but yeah. I mean, the thing is, I can't really do it for them.
Right. Well,
I got to do it I got to do it for me, and like the reasons why I want to do it. But I can't live it through their eyes. You know what I mean?
I think there's some part of like at least with me that I want people that I hate or that I dislike to see a lot of success eventually and be like, oh
Right.
damn, you know,
You want to show them your ass? Be like, look at that ass.
yeah,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
there's fucking hundos falling out my ass right now, or just something,
Yeah,
some amount of success.
man, dude, my motives at this point is just like, I want to enjoy myself. It's so hard to find joy sometimes.
Yeah,
I just want to fucking enjoy myself, and it's tough because God, like we talk about depression and that, it's like I can't even convince myself to play a fucking video game sometimes, and
yeah.
that's supposed to be like the happy time. So it's just like, what is wrong with me,
It's
So
weird whenever you turn your hobby into a job.
yeah,
You can end up hating
yeah,
playing video games.
yeah,
The other
and
day, I was looking through a library of like some of the most successful games ever made, and I was like, man, nothing looks good.
it's that's like a new, it's like a new problem
Yeah,
with us, with a lot of people, is like, we have like 300 games. Like, okay, if I was a kid and I had 300 cartridges around me, I'd be like, oh my
I've
god,
died.
I've gone to heaven.
Yeah,
I'm gonna plug all of these in individually and play them all in the same day.
yeah. I'm gonna
But now
play
I'm like,
all
what the
these
fuck, dude?
shitty LJN games at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. What's the worst game you ever played though on Nintendo?
Oh fuck.
I'm gonna think on this one while you think.
Oh man, there's so many.
Just name a bad one. I don't. It's hard to think of the worst one.
I gotta jump on the bandwagon and say that time that I rented Superman 64.
Oh shit.
Man, that game sucked ass.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of a really bad one. Oh my god. Well, we had like fucking Sesame Street or something that was pretty bad. Um,
At least
but
it did what it was supposed to. So,
yeah.
like Superman 64,
Yeah.
you had to fly through the rings, and it was damn near impossible. And then once you did it, there was another impossible broken ass piece of the game, and it was just such an unplayable pile of shit.
I think the most disappointed I ever was in a game was Captain Skyhawk for Nintendo,
Captain
because
Sky.
this is like the one time in my whole life where I was able to like choose what video game I could buy, and I had a choice between that and I don't even know what the other choices were. I'm trying to think of what the other
It's
choices
probably
were.
something badass like
I
Bionic
think it was like
Commando or
Mega Man or
something.
something.
Oh
Dude, I think it was
no,
fucking Mega Man or something. I
dude!
played it later. I was
Capcom
like,
had like the seal of approval. That was the way my
yeah,
mom bought shit on,
yeah.
during the holidays. Is like if it's got Capcom, that's a good game.
Yeah. I think my problem was like I was thinking value based. It was at like KB Toys or something, and Captain Skyhawk was like originally priced like 50 bucks, and it was on sale for like 18, and I had a limit of I think 20 bucks.
Yeah,
They're like you can get a game up to 20 bucks, and that was like the closest to 20 bucks I could get, but there was also some older games that were probably real good,
yeah,
but we didn't have any reference. We had video game magazines that have reviews,
yeah, yeah.
but they were always like super biased or wrong or
Now you have the
just
power, Nintendo power.
the power to get some shitty ass games from KB Toys.
Oh,
Apparently, I don't
could have
know.
had California Games instead. I got this 52 games in one game. None of
Action
them work.
52.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Fucking what was it? Cheetah Men.
Oh
Dun,
yeah,
dun, 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 dun,
I
dun.
think they ended up like trying to go with that one. They tried to go
Yeah,
further and just
yeah,
make
yeah,
some more
yeah,
broke
yeah.
ass games.
Yeah, they the company that made that, they made a Cheetah Men 2, and I think they're trying to release it on its by itself, but it never came out. And then later on, people found out about it. They found like a prototype,
Oh
and
yeah,
now like the original guy like went and actually put the game out. I think they like kind of fixed it and they put it out. So there's like this sector of hardcore retro game collectors that I follow on YouTube. That's a lot of the shit that I have been watching, although it's shifted a little bit.
video
But
game historians.
yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Makes me feel like a kid again.
I've seen a couple
Uh,
of them.
uh, it was a time like when I really, really enjoyed video games, and ever since like Counter-Strike ended, for me, it's been a long like,
Nothing has luster anymore.
oh yeah, yeah, man. Like, well, it was the feeling of camaraderie and like teamwork and stuff.
Mm.
There was that a little bit with Daisy Mod, but once that era ended, I've been searching for it ever since. The same old group of guys or gals occasionally coming by and playing games. We got common interests.
I think the
It's just
last
been
time
kind
I
of
had that was like playing Modern Warfare 1 COD 4.
okay, dude. Awesome game. Yeah,
And then they made Call of Duty, what was it, Modern Warfare 2, which was a
yeah,
great game, but it was a console port, and so it just totally killed clan play. And
yep.
so you didn't have your home server. You
No
didn't,
dedicated servers.
yeah, nothing like that. It was a real disappointment.
Fucking
A lot of backlash at
killed
that
it.
point, considering that
Yeah.
PC gamers were the ones who got them on the map, and then they were
Mm.
like, "Oh, well, here's where the money is. Now that we're famous."
I think that my clan considered switching over to Modern Warfare because, well, it was only like 2 or 3 of us that liked it, so it didn't work out. But for a time, I was considering playing competitive Modern Warfare. But when it came to Modern Warfare 2 and stuff like that, I was like,
Yeah,
not really my cup of tea.
I played a lot of it, but that lobby system sucked, man. I really
Yeah.
wish they would have stuck with what worked. They kind of
So
dumbed
what?
down that entire game, though. You couldn't do like the lean out
Hmm.
anymore. There's a lot of
I guess let's close with a couple of things here. Like, where do you see yourself in a few years from now? I don't want to say the 5-year, 10-year thing because that's bullshit. Like, where do you see yourself going with sort of content creation? And honestly, do you see yourself kind of sticking with it in like a full time status,
that's
like
the
as long as you
scariest
can?
question ever, dude. And I ask myself it all the time, and so I'm not sure where this is going or how long I can write it out or if I'm going to see any success with it. But I do enjoy it, and the thought of waiting tables or being at a cash register or something like that. I'm not formally educated. I don't have
Mm,
much to lean on, and it sucks because I got
mm.
ideas, but you can't sell ideas very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. what would you be doing if you weren't doing this? I didn't really get much into your work history, but it doesn't matter.
I, I've
Like what?
I've done everything from being an industrial electrician to working in a liquor store.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think that being well rounded in this life is more highly valued than you would expect because when you're well, the crippling depression though, that's another thing that like kind of hurts when it comes to being gainfully employed too. But I'm kind of saying tongue in cheek, but you know,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the good thing about working for yourself is you don't necessarily have to go to work, but you know, if you
you
wanna
should be
if you wanna make
well.
some bread, you do.
Yeah, I mean, as a streamer or independent contractor, whatever it is, you should feel like you're a business owner.
Right.
And if you look into it, like business owners work more than anybody, so you should be prepared to put it in at a minimum like 50 hours a week
Oh man,
at your job. That's the way I feel.
I work like doing what I do. I work more hours than I've ever worked in anything else.
Yeah, but do you feel like it's been more challenging and or more rewarding than anything else too?
Like financially, not always, but
Mm,
as far as feeling like you've done something. And here's the thing: is I don't like feeling like I'm being taken advantage of by somebody who's making money off of my effort. You know what I mean?
mm. And you've
Um,
experienced that in the past, I'm assuming.
if you've worked anywhere, you've experienced it.
Sure.
I don't like making an obscene amount of money for somebody for the obscene lack of money that I'm getting back, and it's not all about money. It's
Mm,
all about, it's also about, quality of life and stuff like that, but
mm,
uh I don't like that feeling of being taken advantage of, and that's something that you have control of whenever you work for
yeah.
yourself.
And I guess that wasn't necessarily where I was going with the question, but you answered, you know, part of it. Let me just sort of maybe reiterate a little bit.
Sure.
What are the rewarding aspects of streaming and kind of working for yourself, like versus what we would call like a real job?
Well, it kind of ties into what I was talking about, where it's an investment. So even if you're making like $2 an hour or something like that, you're still you're pushing your branding.
Hmm.
You're getting exposure to a new demographic or a new couple of people or something like that, and it's all going into something you've created. It's
Right.
it's your brand, and you can do what you want with it.
Okay.
Creative control, I guess.
Yeah. So is this is like a two-part thing, which I love fucking 2 and 3 part questions apparently. So I can't just ask a simple question.
Let's do it.
Is do you consider streaming your real job, or is there like another job that you see in the future that could be kind of like a springboard from streaming to another thing, like let's say a host for an internet show, or I don't know, directing your own content somewhere else, or like streaming officially for a brand or something like that.
I see streaming as, depending on how much effort and time you put into it, it could definitely be a stepping stone towards something that's of a technical manner.
Yeah.
I mean, you're editing, you're getting familiar with software. If you're making videos for YouTube, then you're getting familiar with professional software like Premiere and Photoshop, and probably getting pretty proficient with it if you're putting out enough stuff.
Right.
So I mean, you are getting valuable skills and applying it. And like if you see some kind of success, then you also have that under your belt that you're throwing it in a digestible way for an audience. And so you could become a community manager or something like that for a gaming company, or maybe just
Hmm.
somebody who
Right.
is
But we're
proficient.
talking about you. What
Oh,
do
me?
you want to do?
I have
Yeah.
no fucking idea, man.
You'd be content doing this, what you're doing for years.
I think that there's enough things out there that I could potentially put out content for a long time.
Content in general.
Yeah,
Would you be interested in like doing your own podcast eventually, stuff like that?
I don't see why not.
Yeah. I think that you'd be good. I think you'd be good at it, man. You've got definitely got a unique view on things. You're not afraid to speak your mind. And listen, okay, listen, don't take that the wrong way,
No, I'm
okay?
not. I'm not.
No, I'm just kidding. Unique is good. Even dude, even if it is antagonistic or fucking oddball, people react to that type of thing, and that's really. Don't you feel like that's what content is? Is like getting people to have a like some sort of a reaction to it.
It's the
You
weirdest
don't
thing,
want to.
dude. I saw Howard Stern
Yeah.
interviewing Hillary Clinton,
Oh my
and
god.
I was thinking, man, is he gonna ask how big her dick is? You know, because like that's where he came from. He came from like a shock jock,
Yeah.
and now he's interviewing.
Yeah. He's not that anymore, is he?
No, no, he's actually devolved a bit, but like it's
Sucks.
unusual just the directions that life takes you.
But don't you feel like that's kind of what we do is like try to get a reaction out of people now because it's got to be somewhat compelling. You don't want to be what's the one guy's podcast? It's like Sleep with Me, which is like I think it's called Sleep with Me. If I'm wrong, maybe that's like a porn podcast.
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure,
I've listened to a
but
couple.
but
I've
it's
listened to Joe Rogan, Mark Maron, and I think that's like it.
I can point you out to I listen to about like 100 podcasts, but it's one where you listen to it and it just like drones you to sleep. I feel like people have told me that before about my streams, like, "Oh, I can listen to your stream while I'm like going to sleep." I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." Like, I don't know how to react to that,
Almost
but
like a backhanded
you know,
compliment, but then you're like, okay,
wait a
that's
minute,
fine.
am I that boring? Like, I
Exactly.
don't know. I just am who I am, and I try to like show energy at times. But
Mhm.
honestly, like if I'm not into something, I'm not into it. So
Right.
that just is who I is, man.
Yeah. Don't try.
I'm not that educated. I'm not trying to sound super smart. Like I'm just trying to sound like who I am.
Don't you hate it when you're trying to impress somebody with like a new word that you've learned and you just end up sounding like a total ass?
You just mispronounce it
Yeah.
completely.
That's one of those things where I look back on it and I was like, oh, that's so ugly. I don't ever want to be feeling like I feel right now thinking about that.
What do you want to say to your fans? Like what's something like about your journey and like your community that you want to say to them, like sort of as a thank you, like how things started and sort of some of the some of the OGs, people that have stuck by you forever.
Uh, I've had some really bad streams that weren't that entertaining, where I was in a bad mood or where I just was negative in general. And I've had some people that have stuck around through the good stuff, through the bad stuff. People that watched me play Diablo 3, man, that's a bad game, and it's definitely not a spectator sport. They're the MVPs, man. I've been very blessed with having people that give a shit, that have stuck around, and I've seen overwhelming support whenever this or that has happened, both on and off stream, where people came to my aid or they just just stood up for me, and I don't feel like it's always deserved, but that means a lot to me. I have a difficult time making friends, and I definitely consider a lot of them my friends.
Yeah. That's special, man. Kind of gives you hope for humanity a little bit, right?
Yeah,
In
totally.
it in a sea of toxicity that the internet is, Twitch streams and communities like yours and mine kind of gives you a little bit of hope,
When you feel
you
kind of like
know?
an outsider, it's really cool to have your own cheers bar, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, man.
um, just people who like you for who you are and wanna be a part of, the community
That's
that you've created.
that's the key, man. Where you like me for me and not because you think that I'm going to get you somewhere, right? The whole thing you talked about earlier, kind of being afraid of those who have these sort of man, I was trying to impress you with this really cool word too. What was the word? See?
I'm already
Oh, it
impressed.
dude, what the fucking it's the opposite of altruism. It's the ulterior motives, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You people with ulterior motives, yeah, I'm always so paranoid about that. So like when people prove it, like and it's so weird. People that are outside of Twitch, they don't understand that like people on the internet can really like there can be a certain level of trust. Now there's boundaries always, but there can be like a level of trust with people and you can have like real friendships and there's real rewarding aspects to this even at our age. Like I'm older than you, but like we're around the same age, and like even at our age, like we can find people with their like-minded folks that's just so rare in real life. So
There's a lot of
uh,
things, a lot of lessons that you can learn from your real life that transition as well, like being able to read people even though you can't see
mhm,
and touch and all that. I mean,
yeah,
you can still see some snakes in the grass, and there are some out
yeah,
there, and they want to like
yeah,
whenever you're at your best and you're doing
mhm,
successful, uh, there's more and more people who want to be your friend,
yeah.
and it's something that
Well,
you
you
have
know
to weigh
what?
out and see. I can only it's allowed me to identify with and this sounds ridiculous because I'm nobody, but like a Hollywood movie star, you can kind of start to wonder what their situation is like and how many people want a piece of their pie.
Sure. Because they think because they've seen you that they know you or something.
Yeah, or that they just wanna ride your coattails to success or
Mm.
something like that. There are those
Well,
people.
that's more prevalent in this game more so than Hollywood
You
because
think so?
there's zero barrier to entry when it comes to streaming, and a lot of people think that if they just throw it up there, things are going to happen. They don't if they don't know the fucking work that you did to build to where you are now, regardless of what level that is, they'll never they'll never get that. Like if they're not willing to put in the work, they're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have a flash in the pan success, but if you're not going to follow that up with some good hard ass work, then it's never going to go anywhere, right? Like
Yeah. It's weird, dude,
so
because, like,
coattail shit is bullshit.
I say riding somebody's coattails, and then, my start was under the wing of a successful streamer,
Yeah,
and
right.
so
That was a natural progression.
it sounds hypocritical, but, it is weird seeing more success from on your start than at
Mhm.
your current.
Right.
Um,
But still, man, you might have a little chip on your shoulder from that, but still like you didn't start playing with those guys because you wanted to be a big streamer or something.
had no intention on it. It
Yeah.
just kinda happened. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't hold that over
You probably
myself or
dude,
anything.
if that's how you got your start, you probably would not be doing it today because you'd be like, "Well, shit, I'm not doing as good as I was then, so fuck it. I'm out."
Yeah,
You know?
it's unusual because it's like the reverse experience of being a Twitch streamer.
Hmm.
A lot of people
It's more common than you think, man.
they'll go
It's more
for
common
weeks
than you
and
think.
weeks and weeks and weeks, and there's nobody watching, absolutely nobody, and then one
Mhm.
person comes up, "Oh my god, stay with me," love me, and, just start doing backflips for
Uh,
the one person and then start building your
mm,
community from the ground up.
mm.
It's almost the reverse of that, So, I
Yeah.
maybe it's not the typical, uh, story, but I'm sure that my story is shared with a lot of others.
Yeah. Do you feel like your content is going to shift more as you try to kind of grow your brand? Do you feel like you're going to come up with some creative ways to kind of leverage different aspects of your skills to like, I don't know, just expand, to grow? Like, do you want to make more YouTube videos, anything like that? Are you primarily going to be doing Twitch?
I mean, the more I look at the trends on YouTube, the less appetizing it sounds, but it is definitely a huge way to get, a new group of people to see your
Hmm.
content and to experience what you got to throw at them.
Do you feel like you could maybe hire like an editor or something to do some YouTube videos for you eventually
Maybe, but I mean, that's the kinda thing that I prefer to do myself
yourself?
if I'm
Okay.
able to find the time for it.
I was interested in hearing that response. Do you feel like
It's not that I
there's
don't
two
trust people,
aspects?
it's just that I've got a vision, you
Well,
know?
there's two aspects to this, man. One aspect is, well, there's like you mentioned earlier, there's kind of less creative freedom on YouTube if you want to be monetized. And the second aspect to this is there's two types of people who make videos in that. There's one that's kind of like, okay, this is my content, I am who I am, and like however it's put out there, it's fine, Somebody can edit my stuff. It's still me. And then the other people like yourself and myself, maybe. Now I'm not exactly like you, but there is in this aspect, like even with this podcast, like I don't think I could let somebody else edit it because they wouldn't know what to cut out. They wouldn't know like what I want it to sound like in the
Yeah.
same way like with videos, like you don't the person you feel like you couldn't accurately tell them what you would want it to look like, right?
Yeah, I mean, with my type of delivery, I think that context is really important, and I think that my
Mm,
intention on the delivery is definitely something that needs to be
Needs to
contextualized
come
in the
across.
vision that
Yeah.
I have.
The Sippy Tango vision.
Yes, the vision.
Well, hey, one of these days, I want to get together and do some mushrooms.
Some mushrooms?
Hell yeah.
Man, I got to be in the right mindset for some mushrooms, but I'd say I'm down.
Yeah. First time meeting you here. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah.
Here, have some shrooms.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to feel it out first. I really got to be in the right headspace in order to do psychedelics.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to throw that in there at the end just to see how you respond.
Yeah, I'm not down.
Well, this has been really fun, man. I've spent some time away from Twitch, but the time we didn't really mention like how we met and stuff. Like we met through Twitch. It's like how anybody meets. We met either somebody discovers your channel or you get discovered from somebody else. Basically, you came across in a raid from somebody else's channel. So
I'm pretty sure Sequisha rated you.
Sequisha, yeah,
And you were playing the forest, and I was drinking that night, and I was just chatting it up in your chat,
dude,
and I was making you laugh.
Dude, the way that you were chatting, I'm like, I like this dude. And when I heard that you were gonna start, when you were telling me you were started streaming, I was like, hell yeah. Like I was like, yeah, this is streaming is right for you. You are the right person for streaming. Like you're not self-conscious. You've just got just a wealth of like personality and just like nuance and like
I appreciate that,
fucking
man.
really entertaining guy to be around. So I love the fact that, occasionally we can play games together and stuff like that because God damn it, it is really hard to find someone who you can enjoy games with. So
It is difficult. What was it? I told a joke. What was it? I think it was something about getting John Candy to get a bobsled team together for those natives that were in the forest because they were so damn fast. And that one broke you. And I was like, oh, yeah.
I was like, who the fuck is this guy? I was like waiting for you to drop an N-bomb or something.
No, and then it never came.
Just kidding. I know you wouldn't, but like I was like, oh wait, there's like a couple types of trolls. The ones that kind of lull you into false sense of security.
You kind of like start to feel them out, and you're like, hey, this guy's all right. And then
he's all right.
Ignorant as fuck. That's not what I expected.
And then there's people who know where the line is and they don't cross it,
Yeah.
but they like flirt with it.
That's me, man. I'm such an edgelord. I think as I get older, I'm like getting a little off the edge a little bit.
Yeah.
With the times too. Like when we were younger, like you could call your friend gay or something just because.
Oh yeah,
it had nothing to do with sexuality. It was just the way that we talked, and so it's weird transitioning from that to this.
Yeah. But I think that it's a good transition, but it's almost just like odd to think back on that. And if you went back, you wouldn't live it any differently.
Yeah.
Because you know that you weren't harming the person and like context matters and all that stuff. So like you shouldn't be judged by things you said previously, Yeah, but now well, I guess for you maybe you were maybe a little bit more of a dick to people than I was.
Malicious, yeah, at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Were you a bully?
I was a bully, actually. Yeah.
What was that like?
I don't know. It makes you feel bad inside. Like if you've got a good heart, I think you're just acting out. If that's the case, for some, maybe something that's totally unrelated. Yeah. I was a little bastard.
But did you get punched in the mouth one too many times and it stopped, or
is the weirdest thing, dude? How can you be a fucking bully whenever you're 5 feet tall in middle school?
Little man syndrome?
Oh, maybe I had Napoleon syndrome. I've always had some kind of like inferiority complex towards authority. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, don't like authority, man.
Who does?
Authoritarians? I don't know.
God, we had this one teacher who just really didn't like our clique, and he just wanted to he wanted to find a little loophole so he could stop our bullshit, stop our hacky sacks and our chain wallets and shit. Well, he managed to stop the chain wallets because, well, we're idiots and like we didn't keep the chains super short.
Yeah,
the chains got longer and longer, and then eventually
this is a whip.
It became a whip, and like somebody tripped over their chain. Like, that's it. He hurt himself.
We were dumbass kids back then with our Jinko jeans and our fucking
Oh
8-foot
yeah.
wallet chains and
Yep.
what were we
Dude,
thinking?
how did that even spread without the internet? I don't even know, man. Whatever it was.
I don't know.
Somebody spread it. I kind of regret that
Those Jinko
era,
jeans
but
were cool as fuck too, and I didn't ever get any because my mom said they were stupid.
dude, I had Junko jeans, but they were like Janko or Junko, whatever. Jordache, Jordatech. I was whatever it
I think
was.
Jordache and Jinko were two different things.
No, I know they were, but like I was kind of just a mix and match, whatever I could get type of shit, man. Like I had hand me down skate shoes. I had the hand me down Junkos from my cousin. I had well the Jordache is actually the cheap ass brand, but I digress. The hacky sack part of it, that's the part that was
Oh, I played
badass
the
for me.
shit out of some hacky sack, man.
Dude, I was pretty good. I was pretty good. I don't. I usually brag, but I was pretty good. I was pretty good at like keeping the volley going.
Yeah, yeah.
My friend Tim and I would sit outside the school before it started and see who could get the most hits in a row. Dude, I get up to like 50,
That's fucking
55.
insane.
Yeah,
I was fair.
but it wasn't anything. Dude, it was just foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, right on the instep. Boom,
Yeah, yeah.
boom, boom. Working it. It wasn't anything too fancy.
Yeah, not catching it on the back of your neck and doing a backflip or anything.
Nah, fuck that. Anything new coming up on the stream or anything?
Well, we were talking about it earlier. Been doing the Long Iron Road, which is our D&D campaign, with Buckle BD and a couple of my
Yeah.
friends, and we've been having a really good time with that. Buckle BD is a really, really good storyteller.
Dude, he's fucking awesome.
And
What days are is that on and what time?
we're playing every other Monday, and it's at 8 p.m. CST.
Okay.
So we've been doing that, and pretty much just the normal schedule of like sandbox survival kind of games. Nothing
Mm.
really jumping out just yet for the future. You know, I don't see
Yeah.
anything that's like, man, I really feel like playing that. People are saying Cyberpunk. I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right. Is that campaign coming up this next Monday, the 9th, or is it going to be the following one?
It,
Did you do one this past?
it is coming up on
It'll be
the
coming up on the 9th, and then it'll be on the
yeah, and then every 2
Christmas
weeks
week.
from there. Yeah, let's see the
Maybe
ninth.
Christmas week, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see.
I tell you what, Buckle plays a really good like asshole character from my experience doing RP with him.
I haven't seen
He's
him play
really
in a
good.
full campaign or anything where he was like,
Oh yeah. He's so good at playing a dick. He's so good at it.
I can see it.
And he's a good guy to have a beer with. I had a beer with him a couple times
Oh man, he
at
was. I was
conventions.
supposed to have a beer with him in San Antonio during PAX, but I couldn't. I couldn't get
Oh
a hold of
shit.
him just because the
Are
parking was a
you
nightmare.
are you going to PAX or anything coming up?
And I might. I
Uh,
went last year, and man, the
mm,
only good thing about PAX was I got to meet some people in real life that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to.
right.
And
Yeah.
they're good friends online, and it was really cool
Mm,
to see them in real life. Other than that, man,
yeah.
like the festivities and all that shit, it was kind
Oh
of
yeah.
bland, man.
It's just a platform for people to safely meet,
I would
I guess.
much rather just go camping with a bunch of people that I know online and
Mm,
just like talk shit around the fire, go swimming, stuff like
yeah.
that. I think like that's more my speed.
Yeah. If not for like the liabilities of just meeting people you've never seen before.
I
If it
suppose.
was people you knew, it'd be different, right?
Yeah, I think that I wouldn't just say, "Hey, you random person in chat, why don't you join us?" It'd probably be
Oh
a little
man.
more inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. That does sound better. Well, yeah, man, maybe we'll see each other at one of those conventions in the future. Who knows? Like what would it take what would it take for you to go to something like not I said PAX again. Like TwitchCon or something.
Man, there's a TwitchCon going on in Amsterdam next year, and
What the fuck? Really?
easy cheech. I'm
Nice.
trying. No,
Dude,
my buddy AJ, he's been my right hand man for a long, long
that's
time, and
right.
he's lives in the Netherlands, and
Damn.
like that seems like a perfect opportunity to meet him, because I mean, chances are he's never going to move to the U.S. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and I don't plan going to Europe for any other reason. So,
Right. No, it'd be a good excuse for you to get over there. And if you've got a European audience, Europe isn't as big as you think. Like it's easier for people to kind of travel
right.
there At least if you live there, it's easy to travel.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that would be a good way to meet some of the EU folks.
Yeah, they're good folks too.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, man, this was a great conversation. I think I'd like to do it again in the future if you would.
Man, whenever you want, you just give me a
Sounds
holler.
good. Let people know where they can find you on like social media and stuff.
That'll be at Sippy Tango on Twitter, and twitch.tv/Sippy Tango is my Twitch channel. I'd like to meet
Damn
you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks again, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Okay, we done, man. That's it. That's all you get. The website for the podcast is pod.co/emotive. You can find Emotive Podcast on Twitter at Emotive Podcast. I'm going to do more with the Instagram in the future. You can also find that at Emotive Podcast. Thanks for listening. This was a lot of fun. I hope to see you guys soon. Sometimes I forget to mention it, but the music in this episode and all of my episodes to this point is from an artist called Data Rebel. His name is Danny, and he was kind enough to lend his music to this podcast. So for that, I'm forever grateful because I really enjoy his tunes. It's just really kind of soothing. So if you enjoy the music, please consider supporting him. I'll have links to his music in the show notes.